Hello everyone and welcome back to Python lessons on Codecademy. Today we will be learning about functions and how to make a function in Python. Functions are quite important because they can make your program a lot more efficient than it would normally be without functions. If you don't use functions, you will find yourself using a lot of if, elifs, or elses. So let's get in. So how to make a function is simple. You say def, which always has to be def, then the name of the function that you want, and parentheses. Now just ignore bill for now. Then you have a colon, and you have to have indentation after the colon, and then write whatever you want the function to do, and you usually want some kind of return. You might not always need a return, but you usually do. So let's see what this does, and then I will explain in a little bit more detail. So what this does is it adds 8% tax to a restaurant bill for this function. And so here we first say that meal cost is 100. Then we call meal with tax, and meal with tax equals tax, so this function, and bill, we make bill equal to meal cost, but meal cost is 100. So when we call this line, it goes into the function, and with tax 100, so bill times equals 1.08, so 100 times 1.08, which is 108. So it's going to print with tax %f %, and then it's going to print bill, and bill is 108, as we can see here. Then it sets meal with tax to be 108, and then meal with tip is called, and we use meal with tax to call meal with tip. So we go into this function, and then bill is 108, so therefore bill times equals 1.15, which is 108 times 1.15 is 124. So it's going to tell you that it's 124, and it's going to return bill, which means give back whatever bill is. So let's move on. This will become clearer in the next few minutes. So let's start off with defining a function. So how you define a function is def, the name of your function, which in this case should be spam, and then you have to have parentheses, otherwise this won't work, and then a colon. For now, it doesn't want us to put anything in the parentheses, so we will just ignore that. Notice that there is indentation there. So what it wants us to do is print a string, which is going to be eggs. So we can write some comment. So let's see, this will print eggs to the console, and we can do this to eggs just to make it look better. Oops. And then let's see what happens. So because then we call spam, so how you call a function is you just say its name. So spam, so from here it goes to here, and it enters the function, so it prints eggs, and it exits the function, and it continues to line 14, if there was a line 14, which in this case there isn't. So let's move on. So now what we can do is put some kind of value into the function. So let's see what happens if we do square. Then to call this function, if it didn't have anything there, if it was like that, we would just say this. But now it does have something in the parentheses, so it wants us to enter the number 10 in there. So what this should do is call the function square and enter it with n being 10. So squared equals n, so 10 to the power of 2. And 10 to the power of 2 is 100, because 10 times 10 is 100. So it's going to print 10 squared is 100. And it's going to return 100, which in this case won't have any, we won't notice anything from this line, but later on we might need to use it. So let's see what happens. Yes, 10 squared is 100, and then it exits the function, and if there was something else, it would continue until line 11. So let's work with some parameters. What it wants us to do is check out the function in the editor power. So it wants us to enter a number and make an exponent of it. So here it should be that base. So that should be the number that we want to put it to the exponent. And then exponent is the number that we want the base to be, how to say, times by itself as that many times. So let's see 37 and 4. If you want to have multiple arguments in the function, you have to separate it with a comma. The space there is optional, but I think that it looks much more better if there is a space there because of how everything works. So let's see if this is correct. Yes. So what happens is we enter the function power with 37, base being 37, exponent being 4. So result, it's a new variable that we create in the function, is base to the power of exponent. So 37 to the power of 4. And base to the power of exponent is result. So that would be 37 to the power of 4 is, I don't even know what that number is. 1,874,161. So let's move on. Let's see what this wants us to do. What you can do is call one function inside the other. I don't find this very useful, but it might become useful sometimes. So let's see. Let's look at the function in the editor. One good turn, which adds 1 to the number, as we can see, return n plus 1. Takes in an argument and deserves another, which adds 2. As we can see, return n plus 2. Change the body of deserves another, so this function, so that it always adds 2 to the output of one good turn. So what we can do here is do this. So what this will do is, once we call deserves another, it's going to enter and it's going to call this function. So when it enters this function, it's going to enter into here. So it's going to call with this number. Okay, let's do an actual example. So deserves another, let's say that's 1. So if we enter deserves another with 1, it's going to go into here. Then it's going to go and read one good turn. It's going to enter one good turn with 1. So it's going to return n plus 1. N is 1. So 1 plus 1 is 2. So what this is going to be is 2. and 2 plus 2 is 4. It's going to return 4. And if we were to print this, it would print 4. So I don't think this is going to work on here. Oh yes, it is. So as you can see, it prints 4 to the output. So let's move on. So let's do a bit of practice. Let's define a function called cube. Don't forget the parentheses and the colon. Then it needs to take an argument, number. Make the function return the cube number of number. So that will be return number to the power of 3. Define a second function called by 3. It takes an argument called number. You can use one same argument in two different functions. It might be a bit confusing, but it's fine for the computer. And don't forget def like I did before defining a function. If that number is divisible by 3, so how you can check this is number percent 3 equals 0. If that's true, then by 3 should call cube with number and return its result. Otherwise, which would be else, should return false. So it's telling us not to forget a colon at the end. So let's see if this is correct. So no, it's not. Let's see what's the problem. Returns none. So we need to actually return this result. Yes. So if you have any questions, please ask in the comments. I know this might not have been very clear. I will try to make it as clear as possible in the comments. So for now, thank you for watching, liking, and subscribing to my channel, and see you next time. Bye.